There is a silent, devastating tragedy that only happens to the gentlest souls. It's the exact moment you realize that the person you were destroying yourself to save was actually the one holding the blade. We are taught that empathy is our highest moral virtue, our shield against cruelty. But beneath your skull lies a chilling design flaw, a neurological backdoor that psychological predators have spent millennia learning to exploit. They don't conquer you with hatred. They conquer you by weaponizing your own conscience, turning your capacity to care into a prison of your own making. Today, we are stepping into the darkest corners of human behavior to uncover a truth society rarely dares to whisper: how your kindness is mapped, targeted, and systematically used to destroy you. Welcome to the dark side of empathy. Before we go deeper, drop a comment and let us know where you are watching from. We would love to hear from you. If you enjoy psychological deep dives like this, do not forget to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because what you are about to hear may completely change how you see people, relationships, society, and even yourself. To understand how kindness becomes a target, we have to look inside the brain. In the early 1990s, scientists discovered something strange. Certain brain cells fire when we act, and fire again when we simply watch someone else act. These are mirror neurons. When you watch a child scrape their knee or a partner weep in frustration, your brain does not just observe the pain, it rehearses it. Your own nervous system responds as if the wound were yours. This is affective empathy. Raw, immediate, older than language itself. In our earliest tribes, this reflex kept us alive. If someone screamed in terror, feeling that terror instantly told you to run before your eyes even found the threat. But this ancient alarm system has one catastrophic flaw. It cannot tell the difference between someone who is truly suffering and someone who has simply learned how to perform suffering well. Because this response fires before logic ever gets a vote, a skilled manipulator does not need to convince your mind. They only need to trigger your body. And once your body absorbs their pain as your own, exhaustion follows. Scientists call it empathic distress fatigue, a slow erosion of the very boundary meant to protect you. This is the moment predators wait for. The moment you are too depleted to think clearly, and desperate enough to comply with anything that promises relief. So what happens when someone learns to read this exhaustion and use it against you on purpose? If biology opens the door, psychology builds the cage around you. Researcher Daniel Batson spent decades studying why humans help each other. He found something we already suspected. Real compassion exists, and it is beautiful. But that same compassion can be reversed, aimed, and used as a weapon. A manipulator does not need force. They only need two things from you: your perceived responsibility and your belief that you alone can fix what is broken. They present themselves as helpless, wounded by the world, wounded by everyone before you. And your brain responds exactly how it was built to respond. It floods with the urge to protect. Then comes the second ingredient, the one that seals the trap shut: guilt. If you leave, I do not know what I will do. You are the only one who has ever understood me. These are not confessions of love. They are calculated anchors, dropped directly into your conscience. Have you ever questioned why staying felt safer than leaving, even when everything in you said run? And once that anchor lands, something quieter begins to come apart inside you. A conflict between who you believe you are and what you are being asked to accept. You believe you are a good person, yet some part of you wants to say no. To actually say it would mean admitting you let someone suffer. So instead, you comply. You bend. You silence the part of you that saw it coming. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. Some argue it is proof of empathy working exactly as designed. Others argue it is proof our empathy was never built for a world this manipulated. What do you think? If you have ever ignored a warning sign because saying no felt crueler than staying, you already know this feeling intimately. What would you do if you discovered the person you trusted most had been doing this to you on purpose? Comment aware if this changes how you see your own patterns. And this is exactly why we keep making these deep dives. Because the moment you stop understanding your own mind, someone else will happily understand it for you and use it against you. If that thought unsettles you, that is your intuition finally being heard. But the guilt architecture is only the foundation. What comes next explains why the people closest to you are the ones best equipped to trap you. Every trap needs a stage, and this one has 3 roles. Psychologist Stephen Karpman mapped it decades ago. The victim, the rescuer, the persecutor, 3 positions, 1 endless rotation. The manipulator always enters as the victim. Wounded by an ex, a boss, a family member, a world that never understood them. They cast someone else as the villain of their story. And you are invited to play the hero. You do not choose this role. It is handed to you the moment your empathy responds to their pain. At first, it feels meaningful. You are needed, you are trusted, you are the one who finally understands them. But watch what happens the first time you try to leave, or simply say no. The victim does not stay the victim for long. The moment you set a boundary, they rotate the triangle without warning. Suddenly you are cold, selfish, cruel. You have become the persecutor in their story. And nothing terrifies an empathetic person more than believing they have hurt someone. So you rush back into the rescuer role, offering more warmth, more patience, more of yourself than before, just to undo a crime you never actually committed. Have you ever apologized for something and only realized weeks later you had nothing to apologize for? Some psychologists argue this rotation is unconscious, a defense mechanism from the manipulator's own unhealed wounds. Others argue it is calculated, precise, and fully aware. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Defense mechanism or deliberate strategy? This is how the cage stays locked from the inside. You become your own guard, using your own morality as the chain. And the people capable of building this cage the fastest are not always the ones you would expect. For years, psychologists believed manipulators simply lacked empathy. Cold, detached, incapable of feeling what you feel. But the truth is far more disturbing. Empathy is not one thing. It splits into 2 separate tracks inside the brain. Cognitive empathy is the ability to read someone, to understand their fear, their desire, their next move, purely as information. Affective empathy is different. It is the ability to actually feel what another person feels, in your own body, in real time. A classic psychopath runs almost entirely on the first track. They cannot feel your pain, but they read it perfectly. To them, your tears are simply data, telling them exactly which words will work. But there is another profile, one identified only in recent years, and it is far more dangerous. Researchers call them dark empaths. These are people who score high in manipulation and callousness, yet also feel genuine affective empathy. They are not pretending to feel your pain. They actually feel it, and instead of that feeling stopping them, it fuels them. Because they feel your pain directly, they do not have to guess how deeply their words will cut. They know. They can feel the blade sinking in as they twist it. This is why they rarely look like villains at first. They look like the friend who finally gets you, the partner who feels everything you feel, the leader who seems to understand your soul before you have spoken a word. History shows us exactly how effective this is. Cult leaders like Jim Jones did not scan a room for the weak. They scanned for the most idealistic, the most empathetic people in it, because those were the easiest hearts to bind. They did not win through aggression. They won by making devotion feel like love. Some researchers argue the dark empath is simply evolution, refining manipulation into its most efficient form. Others argue it proves empathy itself was never a moral trait to begin with, only a tool. What do you think? If this is the first time you are hearing about the dark empath, you are already ahead of most people who will never learn this in time to protect themselves. Because the truth is, if you cannot recognize this pattern, you may already be living inside one, calling it love. If you are still not subscribing, comment below and tell us honestly, which part of this was hardest to accept. What comes next is not a warning. It is the only way out. Here is the tragedy underneath all of this. You were never broken. You were simply built for a different world. In our ancestral tribes, exploiters could not hide. If someone took from the group without giving back, they were cast out. And in that world, exclusion often meant death. Empathy was protected, because cruelty had consequences. That protection is gone now. We live scattered across a vast, anonymous landscape, where a predator can drain one person completely, then vanish into a new city, a new app, a new circle of trusting strangers, with no consequence at all. Your empathy did not evolve for a world this large, this fast, or this disconnected. So the answer is not to feel less. The answer is to feel differently. Psychologists call it tactical empathy, the ability to understand someone completely, without absorbing their pain as your own command to obey. It starts with releasing the belief that you are responsible for saving everyone who suffers near you. It continues with treating no as a complete sentence, even when guilt screams that you owe someone more. And it ends with boundaries built on logic, not on how loud someone else's pain sounds. Have you ever wondered how different your life would look if you had said no just once, earlier, before the damage was done? When you master this, you become someone a predator cannot use. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally protect the fire instead of feeding it to everyone who asks. Your kindness was never the weakness, it was simply unguarded. This is Dark Mind Matters, and I will see you in the next mind-blowing revelation.